These stories aren't rumors. They're real. And they're the kind of cases that never made the news, but should have. Her name was Natalie. She worked independently, out of a clean apartment in East Chicago. She didn't have a pimp or handler. She kept her head down, screened her clients, stayed careful. It was mostly safe money. Nothing glamorous, but enough to keep rent paid and bills off her back. She wasn't proud of her work, but she took pride in doing it on her own terms. Natalie had rules. No drugs, no overnights, no exceptions. She met clients by appointment only, kept records for her own protection, and never got emotionally involved. She had learned that the hard way. Trusting the wrong man once nearly got her hospitalized. Since then, distance was survival. He first showed up on a cold Wednesday night in November, called himself Greg, mid-40s, salt and pepper hair, slight Chicago accent, slightly overdressed, button-up shirt, nice cologne. Too clean for someone paying for company. His voice was calm, his demeanor respectful. He didn't drink, didn't ask for anything weird, paid in cash, clean, new bills, and never tried to linger. What stood out most to Natalie was how polite he was. Not creepy sweet, just human. He asked her about books, music, even made her laugh once, which she hated herself for later, but at the time, it felt normal. He became a regular, once a week, around the same time, 10:15 p.m., sometimes Mondays, sometimes Thursdays, but always at night. Sometimes he used different names when booking, but she always recognized the knock, the cologne, the smile. And something changed. Natalie found herself opening up more than usual, talking, sitting longer after he paid. Once, he brought her tea from a little place across town, said it reminded him of his childhood. It was the first time in years she let a client sit on her couch after the clock ran out. Then, after 6 weeks, he just stopped showing up. She figured it was over. That was how it went. No endings, no closure, just silence. Until 3 nights later, when she saw him. He was standing across the street from her building, still, watching, not hiding, just there, looking up. At first, she thought maybe he had lost his nerve, or maybe wanted to say goodbye. But when she crossed the street and approached, he turned without a word and walked off. No acknowledgement, no expression. That night, her phone rang. Unknown number. "I miss you." It was, but unease crept in. Her hands shook when she checked the locks. She slept with the hallway light on. Then the envelope came. No return address. Inside were printed photographs of her. One in the parking lot, one leaving the grocery store, one through her bedroom window while she slept. She took the photos to the police, told them everything, gave the name Greg Parker, told them about the cash, the visits, the tea, the laughter. She didn't cry, not then. She was too angry. The responding officer nodded, took notes, promised a follow-up. 2 days later, a detective called. He said his name was Greg Parker? Yes. He was quiet for a beat. Then, "Ma'am, Greg Parker died 2 weeks ago. Car crash. His body was identified by his twin brother." Natalie's stomach dropped. "No, that's not possible. I saw him, spoke to him. He was just here." The detective asked if she had cameras. She did, a hallway cam outside her door. The footage was clear. The man standing outside her apartment wasn't Greg. Not exactly. There were differences, subtle, slight limp, different posture, a colder look in the eyes. It wasn't Greg. It was his twin brother, Alan. Police began piecing it together. Alan had no criminal record, but neighbors described him as quiet, withdrawn, odd. After Greg died, Alan disappeared. In his storage unit, detectives found journals, dozens of pages, logs of women, notes, drawings. Natalie's name appeared more than 30 times. They found Greg's phone, too, turned off, screen cracked. Alan had been watching Greg for months, learning his habits, his voice, his appointments. He wasn't just impersonating Greg, he was becoming him. Natalie was shaken, but she tried to move on. For a few weeks, it was quiet, until the package arrived. Small, unmarked. Inside, a burner phone, already powered on. Only one contact in it. Natalie. As she held it, it rang. She didn't answer. She threw it in the trash and packed her things. 2 days later, she left Chicago. No forwarding address. Changed her name. Got a job that didn't involve appointments. She cut ties with nearly everyone. But sometimes, when the sun goes down and the clock ticks toward 10:15, she swears her phone vibrates, just once. She never looks, and she never answers. But she knows, somewhere out there, he still thinks he's Greg, and he still misses her. Her name was Leela. She worked through a private site, no agencies, discreet, high-end clients only. Mostly businessmen passing through town, always in upscale hotels. She was careful. Background checks, deposits, video calls first. Her way of keeping control. It was a Tuesday night when she first got the booking. A client named Mr. Fields. Polite, specific. Said he was staying at the Whitmore Hotel downtown. Room 409. The request was standard, 1 hour. No weird demands. When she arrived, the hallway was quiet. The Whitmore was sleek, corporate. Not the kind of place that asked questions. He opened the door before she could knock. "You're early," he said calmly. He was in his 40s, suit still on, tie slightly loosened. Polite, quiet. The room was clean, untouched. She checked her phone. "I'm right on time. 10:30, right?" He gave a small smile. "Guess I made a mistake." Still, he paid, full amount. Didn't ask her to stay, didn't even touch her. Just said thanks, and closed the door. Weird, but harmless. She left, flagged it in her notes. Maybe he got nervous. It happened. 3 nights later, same hotel, same room, different name. This time it was Mr. Levin. She hesitated, but the payment came through. She accepted. When she knocked, the same man opened the door. Same smile, same line, "You're early." This time she pushed back. "You know we've done this before, right? Room 409, 3 nights ago? Same guy, different name." He tilted his head slightly. "I don't think so." She stared at him, something about his eyes, like he was present, but behind them, something else was watching. He paid again, didn't stop her from leaving, didn't say anything else. She got in the elevator and texted a friend immediately. Same guy, 2 fake names, room 409, WTF. That weekend, she got another request. Same hotel, room 409. Name this time, Mr. Ash. She didn't accept, didn't reply. She watched the clock hit 10:30 p.m. with her phone in her hand, heart pounding. Nothing happened. She went to bed, uneasy. The next morning, the story broke online. A woman was found dead at the Whitmore Hotel, room 409. Housekeeping had discovered the body around 11 a.m. No sign of forced entry, no damage, just stillness. The woman wasn't her, but it could have been. Blonde, early 30s, same height. They even found a phone on her with a message, "On my way up, room 409. Leela froze. She contacted the police anonymously and gave them everything. The messages, the payments, the names, the pattern. They found something disturbing in the guest registry. All 3 fake names were booked under the same credit card. The card had been reported stolen 2 weeks earlier from a man found dead in a motel 2 towns over. The killer wasn't just using aliases. He was rotating identities, booking the same room over and over, hiring different escorts for the same time frame, and killing one of them. The other was a distraction, a decoy, a cover. By the time the police got there, he was long gone. The cameras on that floor had been wiped. The only footage available showed Lila walking to the elevator, alone. The case remains open. Lila left town 3 days later, changed her number, shut down her site. But sometimes she checks the Whitmore's listings, and if room 409 is booked anonymously, she stays up. Her name was Allison Rivera. She was 30 years old, smart, quiet, careful. She wasn't lost, she wasn't desperate. She lived alone in Milwaukee, in a small apartment near Easttown. Her neighbors thought she was a bartender. But Allison had a second job, one she didn't talk about. High-end escort work, strictly by appointment, only through trusted referrals. And she had rules. Always meet in public, always text a friend before and after, never go completely off-grid. She followed those rules for 6 years, until one man asked her to break them. He didn't message through an app. He didn't call. He sent a letter. A real, handwritten letter, folded in a white envelope, dropped into her mailbox in the middle of the night. Inside it read, "I don't want sex. I want presence, silence. I'll pay you $3,000 to sit in a locked room with me for 1 hour. No talking, no phone, no questions. If you stay the full 60 minutes, you'll leave with the cash." It was signed, the Hourglass Man. Attached was a real $300 retainer, in cash. Allison laughed about it, called it the easiest job of her life. She told her roommate she'd be back before 8. She left the apartment at 6:12 p.m. She never came back. The address was an old office building on the edge of town, run down, boarded up, mostly vacant. Security footage showed her entering alone. No one else went in. No one else came out. The interior cameras, disabled that morning. When police entered 2 days later, they found no signs of a struggle. No blood, no fingerprints, no body. But they did find a room. 1 chair, 1 table, a mirror, and in the center of the table, an hourglass filled with black sand. Her phone and shoes were placed neatly beneath the chair. The phone had 1 new photo on it, a blurry selfie. Allison's face pale, terrified, and in the mirror behind her, a tall figure in a sheet, with holes cut out where the eyes should be. The case went cold, until someone remembered something. In 1994, 3 women disappeared from 3 different cities. Same letter, same rules, same result. Each time, the woman was never seen again. And each time, someone close to her received a package. In Allison's case, it arrived 43 days after she vanished. A plain envelope, no return address. Inside, a thumb drive, a single photo, and a voicemail. The photo showed 9 women, all barefoot, sitting in chairs, each one staring at the wall, none of them moving, all of them silent. The voicemail was Allison, her voice barely a whisper. "You think you're just waiting, but time isn't passing. It's stuck here. He never turns the hourglass. He just watches it. If you speak, it restarts. We don't age. We don't sleep. We just sit and listen to him breathe. Allison was never found. The building was torn down a year later. No DNA, no suspects, no solid leads. But every year, on May 12th, at exactly 6:12 p.m., someone leaves a sealed letter on her old doorstep. Blank, except for a wax seal in black, an hourglass, with no sand inside. They called him the Hourglass Man. But maybe he isn't watching the time. Maybe he's just waiting for the next one.